Hi, welcome to Sabbath School Daily, where we have been studying from this lesson right here, God's mission, my mission. Today we're starting a brand new lesson, which is lesson number 8, which has the title, Mission to the Needy, and today is Sabbath's lesson, where we introduce what we're going to be talking about this week. Now, our memory verse this week comes from Matthew chapter 25, verse 40, that says, "And the king will answer and say to them, Assuredly, I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of these least of my brethren, you did it to me." That's again in Matthew chapter 25, verse 40. Before we go on, I want to remind you of something that I mentioned last week. At the foundation of what it means to be God's missionary here in this world is caring. We have to care. If we don't care for the world around us, if we don't care for the people that are suffering, the people that are going through whatever they're going, then why will we do whatever we do efficiently? Why will we serve them for the right reasons if we do not care? Many people go about this as though it were some kind of social humanitarianist activism, as though the only reason to do this was to look well or to further their own objectives or ambitions, to climb the ladder of politics, to look good in the picture. Look, that couldn't be farther from what Jesus is talking about here. Because again, the foundation of this is truly, genuinely caring about the needy. The thing about this concept of helping people in need coming from the Bible is that there are several different kinds of needs. Not always are the needs so obvious. Sometimes you'll see someone and you'll know immediately that you can help. In other situations, in other moments, it is definitely not so obvious. The lesson puts it in a very interesting way in the last paragraph when it says, in this week's lesson, our topic, Mission to the Needy, shows that God has a plan to reach those who might be needy in any number of ways. Their needs might be physical, emotional, financial, or even social. That is, some might be deemed as outcasts from their community or family. Whatever the needs are, we must be ready to do what we can to help. This is a central part of what it means to be a Christian and what mission must include. You know, recently I spoke to this young man at church who was struggling with this concept, with how he should help someone in need. And the person in need that he could help, that he was thinking of, was this young man that he met at a swimming class. This young man has autism and has gone through several difficult moments in his own life, and he doesn't really have anyone to help him now. No one to be around him, no one to support him, no one to demonstrate care or love for him. And so, unfortunately, because of that entire context, that background in his life, when he does meet someone that is willing to converse, to become his friend, he usually drives them away because he doesn't really know how to manage those interpersonal relationships. His autism doesn't make it any easier, and sometimes he will be a little bit manipulative in order to keep that other person around. And so this young man that I was talking to that wanted to help this other one, he didn't know how to handle because he was receiving texts all the time. He was dealing with questions. He was dealing with some sorts of emotional manipulations where this other person who at certain times is suicidal or says that he is suicidal, he threatens to commit suicide if the young man doesn't answer him when he wants to or talks to him when he wants to. And so it's a very difficult situation. How does he minister to him? How does he care for this young man if he doesn't feel equipped to deal with this young man's needs? And so just talking to him, going through the possibilities, how he could deal with the situation, it was an exercise for me into how we can minister to other people in challenging situations. And so we talked about several things, the reality that he has to set boundaries, that he is not culpable for anything that this young man does, and that he can't feel guilty for this other young man's choices. But he can extend friendship, he can extend empathy, he can try to help this young man find a good therapist or someone to talk to, different paths to find the help that he needs. One thing that we have to remember here is that in order to help those who are in need, we need to be in a good place spiritually. We need to be ideally in a good place mentally to help them. After all, it's very difficult for you to give what you don't have. We need to know how to deal with certain situations. And so remember what I said last week, helping, caring for people, it might mess your life up because people bring baggage. People have baggage. But if I understand Jesus correctly, in the different texts that we're going to be reading this week and that we've read so far, none of this is easy. It certainly wasn't for him, and it certainly won't be for us. But we're not in it alone. We count on the hand of God to help us get through this process. We count on him in order to give us the insight that we need to care for those who he gives us to care for, to help those who he gives us to help. And so I hope that you study this week's lesson. There's a lot in here that will be extremely beneficial, all the way from praying with someone to giving them Bible studies to just becoming their friend, helping them find resolutions for their own problems. Look, sometimes there are situations that we are simply not equipped for, and that the best thing that we can do is help the person in need find help that we cannot provide. So there's a lot here in this lesson that we will be able to open and to discuss and brainstorm together about. I hope that you really do look up the Bible verses, contemplate on different situations that are brought up throughout this week's lesson. Think about how you would deal with certain situations. What could you help with? What would you need to ask for help with in order to help someone else, right? It's a little bit confusing there, but we have to remember those realities as well. And I'm sure that the Lord will enlighten us with anything else. Please comment down below with any questions or comments. I'd love to interact with you. And also please remember to like, to share, and to subscribe to our videos. We release one every day. And I hope to see you again here tomorrow for another Sabbath School Day.